the stats for Pete Rose as a baseball player, like, insane, right? I mean, all-time leader in hits, obviously, games played, plate appearances, and at-bats. 3 World Series titles. I think he was only on 2 losing teams in like 21 years or something like that. His teams are 500 games over 500 whenever he was playing. The success rate that he had in the playoffs versus the regular season was higher. When you're talking about 7th inning or later, you're talking about a guy who performed better than anybody at the plate. It's like in the clutch time, he played his best ball. He won a lot, but he obviously added some ammo into people that were against him on a regular basis. I think a lot of people that are fans of the sport are like, hey, the best hitter of all time deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. And I think that what people say is you can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose. That is kind of always the angle. So maybe that'll get settled. Go ahead. Let's go to Shoeless Joe Jackson now, shall we? That's the Black Sox scandal, I do believe, of 1919.
Correct.
He was a part of it, where from my understanding, this is just how it was recanted to me, and we tried to do some research over like the last 12 hours or whatever since this has all been announced. Mafia gets a hold of the team, pretty much, sounds like. I think it was like 7 guys on the team or something like that. It wasn't just Shoeless Joe Jackson. There was a lot of 8 guys on the team. 9 guys on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mafia gets a hold of team, and they end up colluding and throwing the World Series is how the story is portrayed. In a trial, they were acquitted, right, of this all.
Yes.
But everybody from the era says, no, they all admitted to it anyways. It was the trial was different than what actually was the case. So this is gambling on the game as well, but at a much broader stage in a negative light. Pete Rose allegedly was only betting on his teams to win and perform well. The Black Sox scandal has always been brought up because they were working against their team to lose this entire thing. 1919 is a long time ago. It's a much different era. What the Mafia was potentially able to do and say, and what narrative is real, what narrative is not from them, is tough in 2025, not only for this story, but most stories. How does this end up working out, you think, for Shoeless Joe Jackson? And what is kind of the overall thoughts on him and the Hall of Fame conversation in general?
Unlike Pete Rose, Pat, Shoeless Joe Jackson actually was on the Hall of Fame ballot. He was on twice, and the first time in the 1930s, I believe he got 2 out of 226 votes. And the second time he was on in the 1940s, he got 2 out of 200 some odd votes. So, the writers back then had the opportunity to induct Shoeless Joe Jackson and said absolutely not. But all of this, to me, it's really interesting because it's so much of a modern story and what is acceptable now, or what we have grown to accept as society. And, mainly like gambling is an enormous part of sports in 2025. It has been not just accepted, but embraced, commodified. Sports are going out and making money hand over fist through gambling companies. And Major League Baseball, for the longest time, tried to stay away from gambling, didn't move to Las Vegas because of ties to gambling.
Whoa. No.
And Joe Jackson may have a chance because societal norms have changed and attitudes toward gambling have changed. Is it as grievous a sin as it once was? Unquestionably, it's not perceived to be that way, but it's going to be super interesting when this committee gets together. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that room, Pat, just to hear what the arguments are from the people who are in that room, because the ERA committee tends to be comprised of people who are older, retired general managers and presidents of baseball operations, Hall of Famers who are in their 60s and 70s and grew up in the game hearing there is one thing in baseball you cannot do, and that is gamble on the game. And writers who are either retired or toward the end of their careers. So you have a group of people who may look at what the societal norms are like right now and reject them. Like it is a secret vote and a secret ballot as well, so we will never know who voted for what. I don't think it is a fait accompli that Pete Rose is going to be elected to the Hall of Fame in December 2027 for induction in summer 2028. I don't think that's a guarantee at all. It's just a possibility now. And when Fawn Rose, Pete's daughter, went and met with Rob Manfred in December, that's all that they were looking for, I think. They just wanted the chance. And Pete himself had said in the past, when I'm 6 feet under, I don't give a damn if I get voted into the Hall of Fame or not. But clearly, it's an important thing to his family, and it's part of what Rob Manfred heard during his meeting with Fawn Rose.
Give him an opportunity to see if they want to vote him in. Sounds like potentially not first time, but maybe in the future. We will be off Thursday, Friday due to the PGA Championship. We will see you back here on ESPN on Overreaction Monday. Have the greatest 4 days of your life. Okay, let's continue to talk baseball here as we still continue digitally here, which is, it sounds like the big hope for ESPN to make the jump to in the future. We've been doing it for a while now. Open door policy on if you have any questions. So whatever you think about...
Gambling too.
Yeah, all these things. I mean, there is a lot of things. Obviously, we're just a bunch of doofuses. We get it. But as we continue here digitally on this glorious Wednesday, what did you say? Fait accompli?
Fait accompli.
Which means like a foregone conclusion or a certainty that he goes in.
Oh, Patrick!
Yes, context clues.
Look at your ball knowledge here. Love it.
Yeah, context clues, brother. Never read a book, so I've had to always kind of pick up what the hell smart people are saying around me by what else is going on. But it sounds like the Rose family obviously wouldn't mind seeing their father get honored for how good he could hit a baseball and play baseball. Yeah. And then Shoeless Joe Jackson, that's got to be what, great-grandkids now?
Oh. Yeah, they might not even know.
It's got to be like great.
1919, you talk about all the things, societal norms now when it comes to gambling and everything like that. How about what we know now about what the mafia did and how they treated people? Mm-hmm. And like the things they would say to people to get things done. Allegedly.
Built this country.
In some cases. And I think rock and roll was another big part of it. I don't think the mafia utilized rock and roll as much.
Maybe.
But I do know rock and roll was a part of building it. But it's like the documentaries we've watched now on how the mafia used to operate and how they used to be able to go about getting things accomplished. It's like if that team was told, which very easily could have happened in Chicago. I mean, from everything that we've learned. Like, hey, you either do this or and even given an example of something, you would hope that there would at least be a little bit of a conversation, at least a little bit of empathy for what potentially was happening at the time. But I'm not a voter, never will be, thank God. Good luck to all of them. Let's talk about the current state of baseball, shall we? Connor has a question for you, Jet.
Yeah, Jet, 5 walk-offs yesterday, 3 walk-off homers. Isak Paredes, hope I'm saying that right, Tatis Jr., and then one I saw you tweeting about Javi Baez for the Tigers. Trey Sweeney tied it up in extras, and then Baez hit his second 3-run homer, I believe, of the game to win. How big of a surprise is this Tigers team? Not just Baez, but are you surprised by the Tigers being, the number 1 team in baseball when it comes to record? What is the Javi Baez story, and are they peaking too early, or is this one of those things where, hey, the Tigers can keep this rolling for the entire season?
Connor, I was talking with somebody yesterday about just how good the Tigers can be. And I picked them to win the American League Central this year. So I'm not surprised that they are a good team. I'm surprised that they're scoring enough runs, because I was looking at them as like a team that was going to be led by its pitching and going to be led by A.J. Hinch, who manages the bullpen just about as well as anyone. But getting production from Javier Baez is something that absolutely nobody expected. Let's remember, when Javi Baez came up, he was an absolute wonder kid, like the smoothest shortstop you're ever going to see. He made tags look cool. That's how smooth he was out there. But he always had swing and miss issues, got out of shape, signed for 6 years and $140 million with the Tigers, and had provided negative value. It was at the point where there were questions like, how long is it going to be until Javier Baez gets cut by the Tigers? And they just, sunk cost at this point. Let's get rid of him and use the roster spot. But he got into good shape this offseason, and good enough where he's playing some center field now after being an infielder his entire career. And the resurgence of the bat is really the shocking thing. Even, when he was a little bit overweight and not looking quite as good physically, defensively he was still pretty good. But he just has this propensity to swing and miss a lot, and he does not have good plate discipline. And if you're not making contact, you're not going to be able to hit the ball well. It's a pretty simple thing. Now, that was just a bad pitch. Just slider left over right in the middle of the plate. But he took advantage of it, and that's what he's doing. He is hitting mistakes this season. And I think you're going to see a lot more pitchers just start working outside with him, because he is the guy who will swing a pitch 2 feet off the plate. But Javier Baez is beloved by Cubs fans for what he did in the 2016 championship. And, Tigers fans are learning to love him a little bit after a couple of really rough years.
3 walk-off homers, ding-dongs last night. Obviously, that's great for the sport. We have been enjoying it more than I think any year in the past, Jet. You will be proud of us. We talk about baseball more and on a more regular basis than ever. And that's because I think what's happened in New York is potentially historic. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Jet. Do you think, is there any way Aaron Judge can sustain the pace he's on? I don't think anyone thinks he's actually going to hit 400, but when you look at the Yankees, obviously Paul Goldschmidt's been very good. He's got the second highest batting average in the AL, and Trent Grisham has been one of the, best surprises, I think, not only to Yankees fans, but just the MLB in general. But with it's kind of, they go as Judge goes, the Yankees do.
Yes.
Do you think he can sustain the type of pace that he's been on for the next several months, or how do you see that kind of working out for the Yankees?
This is the best version of Aaron Judge that we have ever seen, which is saying something for a guy who hit 62 home runs back in 2022 and who hit 58 home runs last year and who has the opportunity to win 3 MVPs in 4 seasons. His strikeout rate, Ty, is down to under 21%. He's hitting 410 right now. That's not going to be sustainable. His average on balls in play at this point is 481, whereas his career average on balls in play is a little bit closer to 350. So we're going to see the batting average go down. I don't think Aaron Judge is a candidate to hit 400 and maybe not even be a guy who's going to hit 350. But the power is still there despite having more patience and despite making more contact. And very rarely do you see a guy who maintains the kind of juice that he's got while lowering his strikeout rate. We've seen it with Pete Alonso this year, too. It's the mark of a good hitter. And Aaron Judge is not just a good hitter. He is the best hitter in baseball right now. There is not a close second. And he is putting up some of the best seasons we've seen all time. Now, this year, if Aaron Judge finishes with 11-plus wins above replacement, he's going to be the 3rd player in baseball history to do that 3 times in 4 years. The other 2 are Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds. Pretty good company to be keeping.
Yeah, I'd say. And he's bombing balls, too. It's not just like he's hitting for average whenever Aaron Judge. When he's connecting on these things because he's such a Goliath.
Yeah, he doesn't hit any cheapies.
The balls are gone. That has to be explosive baseball for the Yankees fans to be watching. Obviously good in that market. There's another market that's gigantic with a superstar. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, Jet, Shohei, another guy who over his last 10, he's been on an absolute tear. He's really starting to come into form. We've talked about this with you a couple of times in terms of him potentially pitching. Obviously, Roki Sasaki, the guy they signed this year out of Japan, he's going on the IL for a little bit, and we continually see the videos of Shohei, throwing off the bump and doing some bullpen sessions. Do you think with the Dodgers starting pitching starting to get banged up a little bit that there's a chance we're going to see Shohei pitch maybe sometime sooner than later?
Nope. I don't think the Dodgers give a damn about right now. And it's a weird thing to hear, right? Like, a bunch of guys going down with injuries. Don't they want to bring him? No, they don't, because the Dodgers care about one thing, and that's October. That's when they want Shohei Ohtani healthy. And what they're trying not to do is allow any concerns right now to get in the way of their ultimate goal, which takes discipline, and which very few teams, guys, if any, have the luxury that the Dodgers do. But part of this luxury is also that they are really good at developing starting pitchers. And they have like a room full of guys, whether it's in the bullpen or down at AAA, who can be capable fill-ins. I understand that there is a temptation to want Shohei Ohtani to come back right now because we've seen him on the mound. He's awesome on the mound.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's going to be really good when he comes back, but at the end of the day, they are more concerned with having the best rotation that they can for the postseason and not trying to rush guys back at all because they figure, hey, we're going to be a playoff team. We're going to win enough games during the regular season to make the postseason. And then in the postseason, you can see what the Death Star really looks like.
Do you think there's no concern either with how good the NL West has been to start the year? I mean, they have, 4 of the best teams in baseball already.
Totally agree. No concern whatsoever. And look, maybe that's misguided. Maybe that's misplaced. But in spite of all of the injuries that they've had so far, the Dodgers are still at the top of the National League West.
Shohei's got a little bit more sauce this year, a little bit more comfortable in who he is. Is that accurate or no?
I don't think we're ever going to really see who Shohei Ohtani is publicly.
Right here. Did we see it right here whenever he answered the bat flip to that guy?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a fair way to put it. And here's Lourdes Gurriel looking down, chucking it up, doing the airplane. I think that Shohei Ohtani did that for his teammates.
Got it.
And, you spend enough time in a clubhouse, you win enough with people, and maybe you do become a little bit more like them. Maybe you do, let it eat a little bit, to use a baseball term. But no, I don't think we're going to be seeing Shohei Ohtani doing cartwheels around the bases anytime soon.
I bet he could do them, though.
Oh, yeah.